So I want to start this video off with saying how insecure and terrified I've been to record it. I'm really going to be courageous about it because I trust that my testimony will help people, that it's going to help people that are out there, and in whatever way God sees possible. So, yeah, let's get into it. The best place to start is the beginning. So, I was born into a Catholic family. I woke up going to Mass every single morning. Best thing was always whenever we would get free donuts and Capri Suns. And growing up Catholic, I grew up with a view of God that he wasn't loving, and he was very belligerent and angry with me if I did anything wrong. And so I feel like I just lived in shame and fear of him. Literally a car that's about to pull up beside me. They're going to see I'm recording. I don't care. It is what it is. I'm talking to myself. I was a teenager, and a lot of stuff started to happen in my family where it felt like it was falling apart. So at the age of 13, I woke up literally one day and my whole life changed. That was what it felt like. It felt like in one single night while I was sleeping, everything changed. So I woke up at my aunt's house in Malibu, California, to my family sobbing. My older sister was crying in the living room as I woke up, and I looked at her and I was like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "Go talk to Aunt Kathy." So I go into my Aunt Kathy's bedroom and I'm like, "What's wrong? Like, what's happening? Like, everyone's literally crying." And then my aunt looks at me and she says, "Your brother was in an accident while drinking and driving and he killed his friend." And I just remember putting my face on the pillow, just crying and being so confused at the whole context of how it happened, because never would I have ever imagined that would have happened to my brother or my family, and it was really hard because he was the one that was driving. I think it's so easy to sympathize with the people that get killed while a person is drinking and driving, but then to be on the other side and feeling very ashamed. I'm feeling very broken because that had happened, and it's almost like I didn't feel like I could be sad. First, it wasn't like I had lost somebody, but I mean, in a sense, I did kind of lose my brother. But yeah, that happened, and then my sister got pregnant at a young age, and I think I was very afraid of what everyone else would think around us, and it was literally why is all this stuff just happening so fast? And I felt like I blamed God, and I said, "God, if you're real, you're not good. I don't want anything to do with you. You are literally wrecking my life." And so I had a very hateful heart towards God because I felt first off, I had to be good in order to be within his presence. And I just felt like he hated me or hated my family because everything was falling apart and we were being punished for something. So that was a really difficult time in my life. And in turn, I developed an eating disorder, I think as a way of just coping to try to find control amidst everything that was happening. And I remember always thinking to myself, I just want to disappear. And a lot of nights I would just I'd go to sleep and I really would hope that I didn't wake up. And I blamed myself for some reason. And so I started starving myself and self-harming. And I eventually started going to therapy, and they put me on medication. I remember one time my mom picked me up from school, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I was sitting in the passenger seat, man, this is hard. I was sitting in the passenger seat, just sobbing because I didn't think that I was pretty enough. I didn't think that I deserved to live, and I just wanted to die. I forgot about it till right now, but yeah, it was a really hard time for me. I just felt like it was too much to handle, and it felt like my family started falling apart, and life didn't come with a manual of when you're a teenage girl and your family starts to fall apart and you don't know what to do to fix it, so you blame yourself. and you blame God. And so that mentality of blaming God had happened for a really, really long time, and I hated him. Man. And then it turned into partying, like smoking weed. I eventually stopped partying. I didn't feel like it was who I wanted to be, and so I just stopped doing that. And then meanwhile, my mom and dad, they purchased a house in Flagstaff, Arizona as a retirement home. And so I lived with my mom in Arizona, and we were back and forth at least once a month to go and check my work in at my school, because it was like a charter school. So I was homeschooled, and then we'd have to go see my, what were they called? ISTs, independent study teachers. Every time that we came back into town, that was the only time that I got to hang out with my friends, was on Thursday nights. And so I hung out with Julie and Phoebe, but like the only day I could hang out with them was on Thursday nights. And that was the night that Crash was. And I remember literally asking them, I'm like, what is a Crash? And they're like, oh, it's like there's worship and like a message and stuff, and it's literally like it's like Christian code. Like, you don't know what those things are until like you're in it. I remember walking into that place, like literally just like a young girl wanting to be seen and to be loved, and just looking for a place to feel at home, because I felt so displaced. And like, I mean, the first couple of times I went, like probably throughout the span of 4 months or so, I would always walk in with such a heavy heart. Like, this is such trash. Like, these people think that God's real. Like, that's so stupid. And then, man, I worship gets me, okay? Because it was at that point, like, I think it was my third time coming, worship song playing, and I just remember being like, God, if you're real and I lift my hands, can I feel your presence? Because I really need to feel you right now. And so I lifted my hands and I worshiped. And I just like, I felt such a warm, tingling sensation that washed over me. And it just felt like love. And I knew that I wanted to chase that for all the days of my life. And so that's where my journey began. I would go back and forth still between California and Arizona. And like, I'd want to like start reading more about the Bible or journaling. And I had a bunch of questions, and like slowly but surely the Lord had transformed my heart and like revealed to me that even though I'd been a victim of difficult circumstances that have happened around me, they were not what defined me, nor did God cause them in my life. It's what happens when people decide to step out of the boundaries that God has placed us in. It's what happens when people start to sin. We start to feel the repercussions of that brokenness. And even though, like, I'm a Christian now, and every single day I wake up and I just want to be better for the Lord, like, I still struggle with everything. Like, my family still struggles with a lot of things. I still struggle with my self-image. You know, it's not like these things went away overnight because I accepted Jesus into my life and into my heart. Like, no, I just learned that the battle for which I am waging is greater than myself and greater than my circumstances. It's something that's for eternity. And so every day that I wake up, and it's still hard, I still want to choose Jesus time and time again, because he's the only thing that makes sense. That's it. That's my testimony. And a testimony is simply, it's not like, oh, my testimony is better than this person's, or this person's testimony is better than mine. A testimony just simply means truth. I am telling my truth in hopes that my truth can speak to your truth, and that you start to see the truth in your truth, if that makes sense. It's literally just like clarity. It is a clarity that happens when we speak truth and we get to proclaim what God has done in our lives. So I hope that this was helpful to somebody. And if it was, that's beautiful. I want people to know that they are not alone. We are never alone, and we all have God needs, and we have to profess and proclaim what those God needs are to God and see him come through. So yeah, like and subscribe. Let me know what you want to see next. I'm open to any suggestions. Thank you for watching me cry. That was a great time. I love you all. Bye.